Happy Friday, everyone. It's time for Friday Fun Fold, and this is Lori Bradley here in St. Louis, Missouri, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And we are going to make a fun fold today that I actually made up a name for because I don't know the name. We're going to call it the Flip Flap Front card. And it's got two flaps that will open on the front, and we're going to decorate those. Super simple, but you know, always simple if you're in my world. But it looks fancy. So we're gonna start with a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. So just a quarter sheet of your cardstock. And then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 matte and a 3 3/4 by 5 white, basic white. So I use Summer Splash, Petunia Pop, and white, and I am using the Unbounded Love Designer Series paper for my card today. It is actually on the last chance list, so if you love it, get it now. But I'm gonna go ahead and put my white panel onto my Petunia Pop panel. I can't glue that down onto my base yet because we're going to need to do something else first, but I'm going to get that together. So that's one last piece we have to worry about. And then I'm going to set that aside. Now I have these are going to be our flaps. The first one is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it's 3 1/4 wide, 4 1/4 long, and I've scored it at a 1/2 inch. All right. And then the next one is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I also scored that one right at a 1/2 inch. So let's take care of those next, and I will put the dimensions in the comments, so don't worry if you're following along and you're not sure what you're supposed to do here. All right, these can go really in any order you can put the big one on the bottom, the big one on the top, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do this one different than I did my first one, or my sample, so that I can show you a different thing. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna glue this directly onto your card base, that 1/4 sheet, and I'm gonna put it right at the top along that edge. Can you see that? I'm right at the top of my card and then along that edge. So there's that flap, and we've got this line here. Don't worry about that, we won't be able to see it. And then I'm gonna put my big flap on this corner. So the one is just bigger than the other. You could do them the same size if you wanted. There's really no right or wrong. This was the dimensions that were given to me on the sample I had. So we've got our flaps. That'll be the front of our card. Now we want to hide these lines. So this is where our inside panel will come in. We're going to put our adhesive on that. We're going to hold that up. And it's going to cover that line, and we're going to have a 1/4 inch all the way around. You'll still be able to see it just a little smidgen on a couple of places, but if your recipient wants to complain about that, then we'll just let them, okay? All right, so now I have 4 pieces of Designer Series paper, 2 of the big size, and those are 3 by 3 1/2, and 2 of the smaller size, which will fit on the smaller panel, and those are 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. Also, you know, again, I will put those dimensions in the comments. Now here's where it's just slightly tricky. If you have a non-directional pattern, that's great. Just make sure if you have your patterns that they're going the correct direction. So you'll have to make sure when you cut your cardstock and your Designer Series paper that works that way. All right, so you can do this before you put your card together too, but I just wanted to make sure that my flaps were put together. I'm going to put this piece, the 2 1/2 by 3 1/2, on the smaller flap. And I'm gonna use liquid glue, so if I mess it up, then we can scooch it just a little bit. I called this the Flip Flap Front because right now in our memory keeping section of Stampin' Up, we have some little flip flaps that they're called flip flaps that are photo holders for scrapbooking or cards, and they are super cute. And so that's what this makes me think of, is the flip flaps. All right, now I'm going to put one of the big ones on. So again, make sure that your flower stems are going the right way. And again, those edges and those mats will line up with the pieces underneath it. So we're gonna line that up right along the edge, and you can see, if we've cut our paper right, that that goes right along that petunia pop bottom, and that goes along the petunia pop edge right there too. All right, so there's the front. Now we have these extra 2 pieces of cardstock. Let's decorate the inside. Let's make this cute as well. But for this side, I think I'm gonna flip it over and put the stripes on the inside, just to make it all different so they're not all exactly the same. I'm just flipping my designer series paper over. Oop. And we're just gonna put that one on the inside, just like that. You don't have to do this. This is just a little extra. So whatever makes you happy. That's what our card making is about today. Whatever makes you happy. I'm gonna bling it up. Okay, and then this one will be the same. So the 2 bigger pieces of designer series paper, again, are 3 by 3.5, and the smaller ones are 2.5 by 3.5, and those fit the smaller flap. Okay, so we've got that part. Now let's decorate it. I'm going to stamp, I'm using the, I don't even know what this is called, Encircled with Love stamp set. I'm gonna stamp that on a white piece, and I'm going to punch it out with the 1 7/8 inch circle that matches, that cuts that out perfectly. There we go, got our petunia pop ink. You can decorate this however you want, with whatever stamps, whatever die cuts, whatever punches, whatever look you're going for. And then I'm also going to take just a scrap of petunia pop, and I'm going to cut a 2-inch circle. So we're gonna have a tiny little petunia pop border, so it's not just plain white. I close this so we don't have a mess. And we're going to glue our sentiment circle onto the mat. And again, this is just decorate it however you would like. Okay, now we're gonna attach this on the front right here. Now here's where it gets, just slightly trickier. Make sure that you only put the adhesive on the part where the flap will open, because otherwise you're gonna glue your whole card together and then there's no flip flap. So I actually wanna add a little bit of ribbon. My first card, I used just a white ribbon. You could use whatever color, but then when I was cleaning up my table, I realized that there's the new fun iridescent petunia pop ribbon that goes with the spooky Halloween suite, so I'm gonna use that instead. We're gonna add a little bit of shine, and that's also going to, and it feels so good. If you don't have any of this ribbon, you need it. It is awesome. Okay, now, normally I just tape it right in the middle of the back of my card, but because the whole piece of my sentiment, since it's not actually going to be attached at the bottom, I wanna make sure that my tape goes right at the top of the circle. So we wanna tape this in the upper half, not in the middle, if that makes sense. And when you're looking at it right this minute, it's actually the bottom half because I flipped it, but it's like this. Okay, we've got our loops. All right, there we go. Okay, so it's at the top. Now I'm going to put that on dimensionals because I want it to be popped up a little bit. And again, this part needs to be at the top. So I want to make sure that I've got my top piece. And I'm going to put my dimensionals in the top half, because that way it will stay and it won't show. We're gonna put that right wherever we want it. Okay, so there's our loop. Now I'm going to add a couple of iridescent faceted gems, also on the last chance list, and these are probably my favorite gems that we've had in a long time. And I'm just gonna put these on, and they kind of match that iridescent part of the ribbon. And there we have it. We have our decorated flip flap. My small piece is on, oh, look at this. I didn't get it correct. So we need to peel that off and move that up just a little bit. That was my bad. All the way at the top. All right, see, always check your work. Always check your work. Okay. Now, I probably should lay it down and look, but I'm gonna hold it up and make sure. There we go. There we go. So that is the lesson. So the ribbon will stick out on the bottom. That's okay. It's attached underneath, so it won't pull out or anything like that. So I used my smaller flap on the top and my bigger flap on the bottom. On this one, my smaller flap is on the top also, but it opens from the other side. So this one opens this way, and this one opens left and then right. So whichever way is totally fine. If you were you could do a vertical card. Obviously, you'd have to switch your paper, a vertical card, and do the same thing. Or you could do the big flap on the top, like this. There's so many variations that you could use with this, but this is today's fun fold. I hope that you like it, the flip flap front. I will see you all next week. Have a great weekend.